Hello, everybody. I'm Chuck Gibson. This is Loveland Beacon Talks, a sports special tracking Evagoras Papasavvas racing. Well, it's been a long off-season for the race driver from Loveland on the road to Indy. He completed the 2024 racing season with his sights set on moving up from USF 2000 to the USF Pro Series, but has instead bypassed the USF Pro Series, signing with the HMD Motorsports team and being promoted to drive in the INDY NXT Series. All things pointed to a part-time seat and his season debut at Mid-Ohio during the July 4th week racing there. But he has waited patiently, and following an impressive showing during INDY NXT testing at Mid-Ohio just 2 weeks ago, the HMD Motorsports team announced Evagoras Papasavvas will make his debut in the starting field for the Grand Prix of Alabama INDY NXT race this Sunday, May the 4th, at the wheel of the HMD number 24 car. Evagoras is with us now by phone as he prepares for Friday practice at Barber Motorsports Park for INDY NXT racing this weekend. Welcome, Evagoras, and thanks for joining us.
It's always a pleasure, Chuck. Thank you.
Oh, you know what? The pleasure's mine, Evagoras. And we were talking offline, and as I said then, so excited for you to see, again, the patience and the hard work, and your skills and testing and preparation are all paying off. So, how excited are you?
Oh yeah, I'm really excited. As you mentioned, all of the hard work and the immense patience over this super long off season. It's just, but it all just worked out in the end, and God's plan is great, and God is great, and it's just, it's interesting to think about what I was doing, in Portland the last race of the season to what I am doing now. How much of a change it was made, and. It didn't go to plan, obviously. The plan was to do a full season in pro to make the next logical step to do one step up the ladder, but, things happen. It is what it is, and like I said before, it works out perfectly, because right now I'm even higher than what we thought I was going to be in this year. Instead of moving up one level, I'm now up two in the NXT. So, yeah, and there's just a lot more that comes with this. With being an INDY NXT driver now, there's a lot more responsibilities as a driver. There's a lot more preparation from the team, a lot more media as well. A lot more. I'm actually surprised. I think it's to prepare drivers for IndyCar, as it's the level right below IndyCar. So everything's, the team operates like an IndyCar team. Everything from the schedule to the car to how the team operates, and it's all to prepare drivers for IndyCar. So it's super similar to what an IndyCar driver will be going through during the race weekend.
Well, as you share that and what this, new experience is like for you, and the differences from what you've experienced the last couple of years, obviously eye-opening for you, but I'm going to throw this into the mix. Oh my gosh, you clearly opened some eyes. I guess it's been, maybe barely 2 weeks ago, at Mid-Ohio during the INDY NXT test session. So let's start there today, Evagoras. Tell me about that weekend, and actually for the listeners, everybody, that was Evagoras. That was your first time in an INDY NXT car on the track. So tell us about that experience, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so that was my first time in that car, and it was great to do at Mid-Ohio, a track that I'm so comfortable at, and a track that I'm experienced at, having raced there the past 2-3 years in USF 2000. So yeah, to do it there, I think it was actually a really good place to do it for the first time in an INDY NXT car, because unlike the jump from USF 2000 to USF Pro 2000, it's a fairly small jump. Not that many things are different. You have more downforce, so that is the biggest thing is just getting used to the downforce.
Mm-hmm.
But, other than that, it's pretty much the same. But then moving to INDY NXT, it's not only is it literally a completely different car, but everything is different, from the feel to the sound to, just what your body, the G's that your body is going through. It's just like you got to recalibrate yourself and get used to an INDY NXT car now. And, like I said, to do at Mid-Ohio, a track where I'm super comfortable at, it was one less thing to worry about. Instead of worrying about, getting my way through the track, it was just all about getting comfortable. And honestly, I think that's what helped me get some good results, is because it was all about just getting comfortable with the car, and just taking my time with it.
Right.
I think that was like the biggest thing.
Oh, that's, and that makes perfect sense. I mean, of course, you and I have talked so many times, I always tell you, so I'm a baseball guy, so I always make these baseball analogies. But, as a player in baseball, and especially as a coach, I always talk to the players that I'm coaching about, practice your swing. You don't have to be at a practice. You don't have to be at a game. You can practice your swing. You can practice your swing in the driveway at your house. Just take dry swing.
Yeah.
But the point is, the same as for you. So you knew the Mid-Ohio track. You knew that course. It's familiar. You didn't have to think about that. Same as when a batter goes up, the reason I tell them, practice your swing, because when you go to the plate, you know your swing. It's familiar.
Yeah.
Swing. Now all you have to do is, in baseball, find the pitch. See the ball, hit the ball. For you, it was just find the car, find the feel for the car. So I think that makes perfect sense when you describe like you were comfortable on the track. That was one less thing to, try to learn or try to focus on. You were able to just focus on what does this car do? How does it respond when I accelerate? How does it respond when I turn? All those different things with the downforce and the power and the differences in that NXT car compared to the, your experience that you've had in the USF series. So that makes perfect sense. What a great place for you to have that test session. And again, what kind of feedback did you get? I mean, obviously the biggest feedback is an announcement that came afterward that said, hey, we're going to move his debut up to, this weekend at Alabama instead of waiting all the way to the Mid-Ohio in July, which is wonderful. But, you opened some eyes. What kinds of things were you hearing during the test session at Mid-Ohio? I mean, what were you hearing, if anything?
I was getting good feedback from my engineer, and just the team in general, because they can see the live timing there, obviously. I was, and in order to get that good feedback, as a driver, you need to give good feedback as well, like what you hear from the car, what you feel from the car. And to be completely honest with you, the biggest thing that I felt, like the very first thing, was just how much power this car has. Like when I put my foot down all the way for the very first time, down the back straight at Mid-Ohio, like my whole body just went back into the seat. Like the amount of power that these cars have, 500 horsepower, 450, 500 horsepower, and that car only weighs 1,500 pounds. So it's really, really fast.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to throw a quick question. So, and how much does Evagoras Papasavvas weigh right now?
I'd say anywhere between 155 to 160.
So that, like, those are the G's. I mean, kind of pushing your body back deep into the seat. That's an intense feeling, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was really crazy when I first put my foot down, and it took me like a few laps to really get used to it. But at the end of the day, it's a race car, and I'm a race car driver, and it's just what we do. You just figure it out naturally. The more laps you do, you just figure out, okay, I can't do what I used to be doing before. It's not working, so I'm going to try it a different way. And then you just keep experimenting. You do something different every single lap. And within a few laps, you'll figure it out, and you'll get comfortable, and you'll be able to really start chasing lap time and really start, pushing the limits to see what breaks first.
All right. Well, what do you think in terms of that? Again, you knew the track. So what do you think was the biggest lesson you learned about that NXT car, that HMD number 24? What was your biggest takeaway from that test session? What was your biggest lesson?
Honestly, I think it's just to not be scared, really, because this is a bigger car. The tires are bigger. You have more mechanical grip. You have a lot more downforce. The wings are bigger. The engine is bigger. The engine has more horsepower. There's just a lot more of everything.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot more of everything. And that was like the biggest thing. Just don't be scared. Have the confidence that the car is going to stick. And instead of being scared of the car, work with the car to reach that lap time. So I think by the end of the test day, I was getting a lot more comfortable than in the beginning. And even now, like this weekend, that's our goal this weekend, is to just get more comfortable and keep learning. Because that's essentially what we're going to be doing this entire year. Because this is a build year for next year when the plan is to do the full season.
Right. Well, you're jumping ahead. See, I was going to wait a minute and then ask you about those expectations. So you jumped ahead of me. But I do want to, you're talking about there's more of everything. You mentioned like the 455 or the 500 horsepower in the NXT car. Just a quick reminder for the listeners: what kind of horsepower were you pushing in the USF 2000 cars? What was that about?
In USF 2000, it was 175 horsepower. In USF Pro 2000, it was about 270,000.
Yeah, so
270 horsepower.
Right, there you go. Yeah, 270,000. Wow. No, that's a jet plane, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, and again, so your last full season was as a USF 2000 driver in a car whose horsepower was 150, 170, whatever, less than 200 horsepower. Moving up to that 455, 500 horsepower. Yeah, I guess you did feel that when you put your foot in it a little bit. So that may and again for the listeners, that's it's almost 3 times the horsepower. So that's
I mean, like you really feel it, when you put your foot down, and on the exits of the corners, you just have to be a lot more conscious of the throttle pedal and be a lot more careful when you're getting on the throttle. You can't really slam on the throttle that you would be able to in the USF 2000 because you don't have as much horsepower.
Sure.
But now you have to really be careful, because if you do, you get on it too quickly and the tires aren't up to temperature, then you're going to get wheel spin and possibly spin out.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what about, if you stomp on it, you're going to get the wheel spin exponentially compared to the USF 2000, where, you can still get wheel spin there too, but what a difference. That sounds, so anyway, let's move forward. Like I said, great weekend. Congratulations on the test session at Mid-Ohio, and, which again opened some eyes. And the next thing you know, what was it like for you? Immediately after that, did you sort of get some hints that, hey, maybe we'd like to get you in the number 24 in Alabama, or how fast did that, did things move after that found you moving that debut up from July to all of a sudden here it is May 4th, and you're going to be, racing right there in the NXT at the Grand Prix of Alabama. Tell me how that transpired. What happened, and when did you learn about it?
Yeah, right after the test session, literally going, as we were walking back to the semi-trucks that HMD had parked up from the pit lane, so literally walking back from the pit lane to the trucks after the session, my dad and we started having conversations with Mike Marini, who is who at HMD, we were talking about getting, and along with my manager as well, just talking about what's next, really.
Yeah.
Because just talking about what's next for me, and obviously talking money as well, because, nothing in this sport is cheap.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah, so talking money as well, and how to plan that out. And obviously, we want to do more races, right? But it does come down to a money thing. So that's really what we were talking about, was just the money. And obviously it worked out. We're able to do this race here in Alabama. Like you said, move the debut up. So it's all good things. Really, but yeah, basically it all happened really quickly. Like right after the session, right after I got to the car, right after I got out of the car, walking back to the trailers to get changed. That's when it started the conversation.
Which brings me to the obvious next question. So as you get kind of go through that process, and you're hearing, okay, and I know Evagoras. I mean, if we're honest with the listeners, if you're honest with the listeners, you're going to say, I've been chomping at the bit. I just want to get back in the car and drive. So what's that feeling as you finally get back to your own car? That day's over. You're out of the race car, and now things have kind of progressed, and it looks like, oh gosh, I'm going to get to move that debut up. What was your feelings then? What was that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when my parents told me that it is confirmed that I will be doing Barber, the race here in Alabama, really the only thing that came to my mind, it was just instantly switching gears to think about preparation.
Wow. Yeah.
For the race. Not even, obviously I was excited, but it wasn't really even, that much excitement, because I didn't really have time to be excited. I just had to switch straight to preparation to make sure that I'm as prepared as possible for my debut, to make it as good of a debut as possible.
You know what? I'm not surprised, Evagoras, because I think that's one of the things, certainly as you've shared your story with listeners, you've shared your stories with me, and I've been able to be there live, at race events and test sessions with you and see it. It does not surprise me, and it shouldn't surprise the listeners, to hear you immediately shifted to preparation. I mean, thinking about, okay, what's Barber at Alabama look like? How do I get ready for this? And, real quick too, I've been racking my brain, and without going back to notes or a previous podcast with you, did you tested at Barber within the last few months? Is that correct? Did you test there in December or November or something? I'm trying to remember.
Yes, I did test there in November. I believe, and that was in the USF Pro 2000.
Right. I was just trying to think. So I did get some track time, which was actually very valuable. I'm glad that we did that test, even though we're not racing in pro, just to get that test in a higher downforce car to get an idea of what it's going to be like. Because without that test, it would have also been my first time at this track as well. Yeah, that's, again, that would have been huge. That's why I was wondering. I was trying to think, well, at least he's done some laps at Barber, so that's going to have a little bit of not the same familiarity as Mid-Ohio, but again, at least familiarity of, I've been on this backstretch, I've been on this curve, I've been through these curves, I've run this straightaway, and it's some things that'll make sense to you, or be familiar at least. So that takes us to, obviously, as we're talking, this is, Thursday night, May the 1st. By the time people are listening to this, listeners, you're listening to this on Friday, and when you're listening to it, Evagoras will probably be finishing up his test session. So I kind of want to get to move forward to that. So right now we know, I shouldn't say test session, I should say you guys, all the NXT drivers that are racing this week at the Grand Prix of Alabama, you guys have a practice session, if I'm right, probably 10:30 Alabama time, but 11:30 a.m. our time on Friday. What are your kind of expectations, and what's your plan, getting on the track for practice on this Friday?
Yeah, so expectations, like I touched on before, it's really just learn as much as possible. Complete all of the laps, gain as much experience as possible, learn every different thing about this car, learn every little detail about how this car operates, how the team operates, how the series operates. That's really all it is, just to basically just be a sponge this weekend, just to absorb all of this new information and all this experience from competing in my very first INDY NXT event.
Well, and obviously, Evagoras, that is going to carry through for the practice session on Saturday, the qualifying on Saturday, and obviously even on race day Sunday morning. And again, for the listeners, all of that is available. You can watch it live on FS1. Check your FS1 schedule, but 11:30 a.m. Eastern time here, locally in Cincinnati and Loveland. But anyway, we can watch the INDY NXT events all weekend long, FS1, and keep track of Evagoras. But that, again, my point going back to you, that's what you're going to carry through the entire practices, qualifying, and race day. Is that I love the term you used. It's just your job is to be a sponge.
Exactly, yeah, no expectations, just learn as much as possible, have fun, obviously, at the end of the day, but yeah, just enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, you know what, from here at Loveland, and I'm actually, hey, Evagoras, I'm sitting in Studio A, even though we're doing this on the phone. Loveland Beacon Studio A is where I'm sitting, but from here in the Loveland Beacon Talks Studio A, we are wishing you all of that. Be a sponge, have fun, and just really, speaking for myself, and I'm sure for so many others, we are really looking forward to watching this develop, starting with, being able to watch it on FS1 and see how things go for you. So just absolutely wishing you the very best throughout this Grand Prix of Alabama event all through the weekend.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chuck. Yeah, I'm really excited to get going and to see what happens.
I can only imagine the level of excitement. And I am going to step back for just 1 second, go back to, I want to touch on the Mid-Ohio test session again real quick, because I meant to ask you. When you said you pushed that accelerator down for the first time and wow, it shoved you back in the seat and you felt that and you described that. But I had to, in my mind, I was thinking, and you had a huge smile on your face, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Just really just realizing that, and just realizing that this is what I'm going to be feeling for a while. This is what I'll be driving until I get to IndyCar. Because, this is the last step of the ladder, all the way starting from US 50,000. This is the last step in the NXT.
Outstanding. Well, Evagoras, I'm sure it's going to be a great step for you. I know you're going to be a wonderful sponge all through this weekend. And, you say no expectations. So the easy thing for me to say is I know you're going to exceed expectations this weekend. And I like, not for me to remind you, but obviously you've reminded yourself from that test session at Mid-Ohio, at the end of the day, it's a race car, and you're a race car driver. So,
yep, exactly.
That's I can only imagine how much fun this is going to be for you. And again, just from Loveland Beacon Talks, and from me personally, just wish you the very best. Really looking forward to seeing you have some good results. And even if those results are just like sponging and learning, like you said this weekend, but. So, hey, have a great time. And by the way, tell your dad I said hello.
Yep, I will.
Now, Dad's there with you, right?
Yes, he is.
Okay, well, make sure you tell Dad that said hello, and good luck to both of you. Just have a great weekend. Have a good run, and hey, listeners, that is Evagoras Papasavvas. He will be in the HMD number 24 this Sunday. You can watch the race live, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time here on FS1. And again, today, Friday, as you're listening to this, you can watch the practice session, and tomorrow, Saturday, May the 3rd, you'll be able to watch the practice session, and the qualifying also will be airing live on FS1. Evagoras, thank you so much for taking the time to share your story with us, and best of luck to you, my friend.
Yep, thank you so much, Chuck, as always.
You bet. Take care.